the GT1 Championship, which runs on a Thursday evening, and here we are at Monza this week. So the lads just putting in their the qualifying session now. Just taking a little look on board with Kovkar. He's currently running it in second place, but like I said, there's a good chunk of qualifying left now, so I still expect these times to change. So, as we get underway here at Monza, I'll give you a little bit of information on where the guys came last week. So, like I said, this is round 2 of our FluxMotorsport Championship. Last week we were... Apologies, I'm just getting to my standings tables now. Apologies, there we go. Slight technical difficulties. Last week we were at Nürburgring, so last Thursday we saw some action round our favourite German track, and last week it did see Bruce Law come top of the shot. So Bruce will be looking to perform well again here, as I'm sure all the other guys, but looking to see Bruce do well. I suspect that in that panos he's going to be up against it. We'll take a little look at him now. A little limited on power compared to some of the other cars in class. Maybe not quite got the top end speed, but we'll be hoping to do well. So Bruce comes into this with 37 points, and just taking a little look down the rest of our standings from last week. It did see Jack de Menzies come in at second place. Unfortunately, Jack won't be with us this evening, so Jack's unable to race this evening. We have had a couple of dropouts actually this evening. You see a slightly reduced grid to normal. So we have lost Jack de Menzies, Luke Snipes, I believe can't make it. Moritz is, I believe, is also retired, so we actually also have a retiree potentially this week. That's Moritz Pizza. He may not be joining us for round 3. And I think the other one is potentially Mark. No, Mark's in. So, third in our standings is Murphy. We take a little look on board with Murphy. Murphy currently 8th during our qualifying session. Take a little look on the lap times. So Murphy currently putting in a 1:42.5. That McLaren has got some power, but it is lacking a little bit compared to potentially the Mercedes and the Toyota, but should perform well in the corners. So Murphy did quite well last week, came 3rd. Murphy comes into this with 27 points. In 4th in our standings we've got Kovkar. So Kovkar currently in the pits, but he's setting a 1:39 currently on track. So again, Kovkar looking to come out of this quite strong. In 5th spot coming into this we have Alright Turkish. Turkish has 23 championship points in our GT1s, and he's currently sat 4th in qualifying as he comes out on what looks like a hot lap now. So we'll take a little look on board with Alright Turkish now.
I think regarding what you was just saying, Lecky, as well, the Toyotas will be strong here tonight. The Mercedes, they've got plenty of power with the McLarens, but the Toyota would be your favourites for top end speed at Monza.
Indeed, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to give these a go myself up. Turkish getting a little bit out of shape though. But yeah, from trying to get these around here myself, I know full well that they're all a handful. But the Toyotas do seem to have a little bit more power, and the Mercedes, I think, probably the best jack of all trades in this car class. Decent power, decent handling, Don't like shifting the weight around an awful lot with that long wheelbase. As we see CMC though, getting the back end a little bit out of shape onto the first chicane. So, but yeah, hopefully the other cars in category will be able to make themselves big on the straights and stick it through the corners. So, speaking of other cars in our category, take a little look at Uniclark. Uniclark is in our Toyota. Uniclark currently sat first on the grid. Currently taking a moment to readjust his telemetry and his settings, potentially before getting a final run out. So Uniclark comes into this in 6th spot with championship points of 20 points. So Mark also in the Toyota. So Mark coming out now. Looks like he's picked up a little bit of damage on that car. Surprised that he's not come out and got that repaired. Yeah, looks like he's returning to the pits to get that sorted out. So Mark comes in with 17 points in 7th place. Currently sat in 4th. Next we've got Alan, who is in 8th place. I believe it is Alan that's not joining us tonight, so Shellendall, as you may know him, comes into this with 15 points. Unfortunately he's not with us tonight. Speedy Gonog, so one of the other cars in the category, in the Panos, Speedy rocking the Panos. Currently sat in last place, so must be struggling with this. I know he is currently on a new, brand new setup, so he's currently had the interior of that car laid out for him. He's hoping to make the upgrades perform well here this evening, so hopefully he can try and get a decent lap in. He's not got long left now, but potentially if he gets his car out on the track now, he might be able to set a lap time. So Speedy comes into this with 13 points. Like I said, we're missing Luke tonight, but CMC currently sat in 6th on the grid. Again, struggling with the front end of this time on the Mercedes. So locking up coming into the first chicane section there. But CMC unfortunately did not score any points in the previous race, so we got a DNF in the previous race from CMC. So CMC will be hungry to try and get some points gained in this race. CMC comes into this in 11th place, just behind Luke Snipes in 10th. So, not too long left in our qualifying session now. It looks like Uniclark has got the best of the session. So, Uniclark currently putting a 1:38.4s, which is about as quick as you can hope for around here. I think the quickest I've seen around here, Nick, is potentially a 1:37 high 1:37s, but I don't expect that in race pace.
Yeah, there's definitely been some 1:37s out there. I think regarding the cars tonight, any aerodynamic damage is going to be a big hindrance. I think they've got to keep the cars clean.
I think you raise a good point. Yeah. I mean, not just with the aero, but with the tyres as well. The accelerated tyre wear, and looks like Uniclark paying though from
as you said,
a little bit of cold tyre.
Yeah, I think you've really got to look after your tyres around here. I know people will always say it's about top end speed and straight line speed here, but the tyres will wear out quickly. Look after the cars, and you can't go too wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from trying to watch the guys coming around in the sessions today, during the practice sessions, the two sections of the track that I think are catching people out more than most seem to be the exit of Ascari and the lock up to the first chicane section. So
it's a very challenging circuit in its own right. Parabolica is absolutely one of the most important corners of any circuit, just to get that top end speed down into the first chicane. And it's surprisingly how technical Monza is.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap, I think, for being a boring track, which I don't think it is. I think it's quite a technical track. There aren't a lot of turns on it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't take your skill and experience and good reflexes in order to get particularly these GT1 cars around here. So we'll just take a little look on board with Bruce now. Bruce currently sat in 2nd place, hoping to get a quick lap in. currently sat in the draft of one of these Toyotas, so maybe that's helping him. Will he come over the line any quicker than he's done? 1:38.6 previously, and no quicker this time. So it looks like Bruce comes in second place. Might just in front of him though, he was getting the draft from. So from where we are now, Uni Clark coming across the line in pole position. So Uni Clark will start at the front of the grid. Bruce Law in second place. Cov Carl in third place. Mark will come fourth, and Turkish in his obligatory fifth place. He's getting familiar with that spot now. Sixth place is CMC. Matt is known to his friends. Old Smoking seventh. Murphy not getting a good run this time, so quite a drop there from the third position of last week. And Speedy Gonhog, who seems to be struggling with that setup as well. I don't think he did come out the pits there to get another lap in. So that's our running order now. So the guys will be spending maybe just 1 or 2 minutes now, just final tweaking the final touches on the car, just getting the adjustments right.
I think.
And sorry, Nicky, go on.
Sorry, buddy. I think a very strong showing there from Bruce. The Panos has a lot of grunt, but not so much of the top end speed. So to be up there, I think that's a really impressive showing. Again, as you just said, all right, Turkish coming in fifth. There's some quick guys in this lobby, and I think that's a major improvement for him. And I think he'll be. I think
yeah, you've got a good point there with Bruce's lap times. I mean, Bruce comes into this, I think, with a unblemished win streak. So I think it's a 3 out of 3. So he's managed to keep that Panos quick last week. I don't know that it'll be the same round here. Like you said, it is a Toyota track, so potentially it might get in that draft of Uni Clark and stick with him. But I think ultimately this is Uni Clark's to lose. So
yeah, I would say the Toyota is going to be the favourite round here. Again, aerodynamic damage and staying away from any incidents with the cars will be a big help. First chicane, I think you look after them tyres, get into some clean air, make your moves count, and the guys can't go far wrong. And this is a great group of drivers tonight, so this will be a good one.
Yep, certainly looking forward to it, Nicky. So not long left now as the drivers start to get on the starting orders, waiting for the lights to tick down. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the tyre pressures around here, Nicky, actually. Just whilst we mentioned tyres earlier, from running the practice sessions with the guys earlier, noticed that some were on soft and some were on hard. So let's see if that makes a difference for the start of this race, as we are on the starters' orders. And we are underway, so that's green, and it looks like Kovkar gets an absolutely flying start. So Kovkar coming up the inside there. It looks like he's got the inside line. Bruce trying to take advantage of that as well and go with him. And late on the brakes there, it looks like from the other Toyota, which was Mark. So, but Uni Clark getting away in first there. Kovkar sticking with him in second, and Bruce Law dropping back down to 6th place. So let's take a little look around the cars behind him. That's Mark right up there with Murphy, so we've got a battle for 3rd place on currently. As you take a little look further down the order there, and that is around the outside. Old Smoker trying to take it, but he's got too much of the rubbers there. Thinks better of it. Does manage to get the manoeuvre done on Mark though, so and Mark's got a whole stack of cars lining up behind him now. Bruce tries to take the inside line. So Bruce coming up into 4th place there, so that's 3 positions gained out the last 2 corners. This could be anybody's in the first lap here for 4th place. But currently Bruce getting the better of that. So if we nip back over to our leaders, and our leaders are certainly not out of the action. Uni Clark and Kovkar still battling to it, less than 0.2 of a second. You couldn't get a Rizzler paper between these two. So
unfortunately we've lost all right Turkish, but great start from Kovkar. That was an incredible start. He made up a lot of places, and he's right up there with Uni Clark now.
Yeah, the traction off the line from that Mercedes was phenomenal.
Incredible.
He's managed to stick with Uni Clark in the draft there, so Maybe not too much slower, that Mercedes. But take a little look on board with Bruce, and it looks like Bruce now managed to move up to third spot, so he looks like he's got the better Murphy around Parabolica. So Murphy now with the Wolfpack behind him as Mark shoots off, tries to get the inside line, and he's late on the brakes, so because he managed to make that stick, they've both come round, he's had to pull out, and that's like Old Smoky come through. That does look like contact there from Old Smoky, so that might be one for the stewards. So as we try and go back on board with Murphy now, Murphy sat in the midst of all these drivers, 3 seconds behind the leader, so not an awful lot of gap between where the chaps are fighting on track and the leaders. And Old Smoky with CMC behind him now, so CMC putting decent qualifying times in. Certainly the beginning of qualifying was certainly make that Mercedes dance. Looked like he struggled towards the end of it with some of the lockups, but that's potentially tyre degradation. So CMC not done here, trying to sit in Old Smoky's draft. And Bruce looks like he's managing to get onto the back end of Uniclark now, so not totally with him all the way. There's still half a second or so with it in it, but certainly enough to get the draft. And that panels, as we know, is good in the corners, so yep, seems to be closing that gap around Parabolica. So Bruce will be looking to make some further gains here. So whilst we're coming into lap 3 now, let's just take a little look at our split times. So, and it looks like Carl's managed to take the lead, so it looks like he's got round Uniclark though, coming into that chicane section. So could that have been a spin or a lock up there from Uniclark into turn 1? It's certainly let Bruce stay with him there, but yeah. So first, second and third goes Carl, Uniclark and Bruce Law. Fourth is Murphy, fifth Old Smoky, Speedy Gonhog in sixth. We've not seen much of Speedy so far today. CMC is really struggling with Mercedes, he's recovering there in seventh, and it looks like potentially we've just had an early retirement from Mark there, so I think unfortunately Mark, that's the last we've seen from Mark today. So back with our leaders. Hopcar managed to get a bit of a gap now, so increasing the gap there between himself and Uniclark, or Lee as he's better known. Behind him, Lee's trying to fend Bruce Law off. Doing a good job here, so managing to maintain that gap to around about half a second for the last lap or so. So hopefully he can fend Bruce Law off for another 39 minutes, or 39 minutes left in this race so far. It's a tall order to try and fend Bruce off for that long, but we'll be hoping to try and get that unblemished record slightly tarnished. So a lot of lock on board with Murphy now. Murphy's still got Old Smoky with him. Old Smoky trying to come down his inside now into the first chicane. Thinks better of it, tucks back inside, but certainly seems to have the speed on that McLaren coming down the straights. Good exit from there from Murphy. Old Smoky sticking with him, so it's like we've got two groups here, battle for second place and battle for fourth place, which is really becoming a 3-horse race now between Murphy, Old Smoky and Speedy Gonhog. Take a little look at Speedy now, the other guy in the panels, so in the white panels, and is that a spinner that we see behind? Is that Old Smoky? It looks like Old Smoky's lost it though going into that chicane section. So in chicane 1 there was a spin, but back on the green flag now as he gets that underway. So bit of pressure there as we said from Speedy. That Speedy climb up there into 5th spot, so that'll be vital points gained there for Speedy Gonhog. A bit of information we can tell you about Speedy. Speedy is very recently become one of the most recent staff members at FluxMotorsport. So well done to Speedy Gonog. Speedy Gonog is our most recent addition to the Marshall team, so congratulations for that. I'm sure he'll be enjoying his newfound position and all the points he's picking up, as long as he can keep this together to the end of the race. So still sticking with Murphy, potentially quicker in a straight line than that McLaren. Shouldn't be a lot in it between these two actually, so this should be a good battle. So it's a battle for 4th place. And take a look at CMC. So CMC has pitted. That is potentially damage. So looks like he could be there for a while whilst he gets the guys to give that Mercedes a once over. So taking a look on board with Uniclark now. So Uniclark is actually closing that gap. He shortened that gap down to a second. And again, about half a second, 0.7 of a second between himself and Bruce. So these three lads now getting into the rhythm, and the Toyota really letting its legs stretch there. So I think this is where you were saying, Nicky, were potentially the extra speed that that Toyota has. If Uniclark isn't pushing and just using the speed when he needs to, he could actually be saving the tyres here. Maybe tyres might actually play a part. So what we'll see as they come into Parabolica now. So on lap 5. Okay, so it looks like Uniclark's managed to hold Bruce off, but he had to take a central line to do it and lost a little bit of run out of that corner there. But again, always going to struggle in the straight line as soon as she starts to open the lungs up on the Toyota. But he's late on the brakes there and manages to make that stick, so that's even further time caught up with Kovkar. So we take a look on board with Kovkar, if we can get the camera mounted to do that. Yeah, so taking a little look on board with Kovkar now. Kovkar's last lap putting in 141s. So race pace around here, I was expecting probably the high 140s, low 141s. So weather allowing, albeit it should be remaining dry here at Monza today. So fair conditions should allow the guys to be fairly sure about the tyre choices. Like I said, some of the guys are running hard here today, some of the guys will be running softs, allowing for the extra grip, but will have increased degradation. So feedback yet to come in from our pit lane about how tyres have gone. Certainly we'll be looking for our first pit stop. So still on board with Kovkar here, making his way down the back straight into Parabolica, and late on the brakes there, the Mercedes, but missing the apex because of it. So looking a little bit wide there. That allowed Uniclark. He's 0.1 of a second, so I think Uniclark's up alongside him here. And we take a little look trackside. He's on the inside, so that is Uniclark getting through. And as we go trackside, Kovkar then stepping out of the dirty air. He's late on the brakes. Oh, I just about managed to avoid contact, but he's made Uniclark slow up there and allowed Bruce to get in on the action. So 1, 2, 3 coming out of first chicane. It's still Kovkar, Uniclark and then Bruce Law, but next to nothing in it here. So literally could be anybody's at this stage. Looks like we've had some further action down the order. Looks like Speedy's got past Murphy there, so minor mistake there from Murphy. Not lost too much time, so I think it's just a minor mistake. Potentially a lock up there into the chicane, but that's allowed Speedy to come through into 4th spot. So even better news for Speedy today. Like I said, rocking the white panels, aptly named the Toad, I believe. Does look a little frog-like with that wide ducts on the front there, and that Speedy getting a little bit out of shape there, coming on the exit of the second Lesmo, and that's going to allow Murphy to try and take a little look on the outside. He will have the run down here coming into Ascari, so let's stay with these two as they go toe to toe. and he has done it on the outside. Speedy letting him, looks like he letting him come through there, not making him work too hard for it. Potentially trying to maintain his tyres after getting a bit squirrely there on the exit of the second Lesmore turn. That's Murphy back up into 4th spot. But we can see Old Smoky in the distance there, so Old Smoky still sticking with these guys. 1:44.2 is Old Smoky last lap, which is a little bit slower than Murphy and Speedy in front, but not a million miles away, so certainly not out of the action. Go back on board with our leaders now. Car still in first, but it does look like the lap time slowed a little bit from Bruce Law on lap 3. So possibly trying to maintain tyres there and trying to save that to the end of this race. Got Cobb car coming into the Lesmore turns now, and he's clipping apexes again, so nice to see him back on form. 1:41.7 is the last lap, so our current fastest laps being set by Kovkar. If we take a little look on the timing screen, we'll see if we can bring you our lap time information. So our best lap currently on track set by Bruce Law in the panels. So despite the odds, the panel's setting the quickest laps around here. I suspect draft's got something to do with that, but you'll take the speed where you can get it, I believe. You don't look a gift horse in the race when it comes to where you're making gains on Monza. And again, exceptionally wide there from Kovkar on turn 1 of Parabolica. There must be a reason for that. There must be tyre wear. I was struggling with the front end and getting a little bit of understeer on that Mercedes, so that will be allowing Uniclark, which again put in decent lap times, no the 1:41s. So Uniclark not catching him that lap, but Bruce Law is certainly back on form. So looks like Bruce has caught up to Uniclark there on that last lap with the 1:40.5. So that looks like up there with the fastest laps of the race at the moment. So Bruce Law clearly holding back, trying to get the tyres to cool down a little bit the previous lap. We're certainly trying to pile the pressure on now with Uniclark coming into Lesmore turns. So cleanly done through the first Lesmore turn, and Bruce has got a little bit squirrely on the exit there, so I don't think he's going to get the run down into Ascari. But these guys are rocking in excess of 230 kilometers an hour coming into these turns at the end of these straights. So we'll be punishing the brakes and the tyres on the way in, so they're going to have to try and maintain tyres and manage them properly if they're going to see the next half an hour of this race without any events, or any unfortunate events at least. So it looks like we've got some further action there from Murphy and Speedy Gonhog. It looks like Murphy's potentially span it there, so that's a big drop that he's got back there from Speedy. Try and take a look at Murphy, see if he's picked up any damage as he comes into Parabolica. So it doesn't look like he's getting any damage on that McLaren, so but he has managed to lose it coming into it, so potentially rear end damage or rear wing damage that might have caused that. So that's really unfortunate for Murphy that does allow Old Smoky to come through into 5th spot. So picking up a few more points there, Old Smoky will be quite happy with that after some initial sausage riding in lap 1. So managing to put 1:46s in last lap, Old Smoky, so 4 or 5 second difference from our leaders. Hopefully we can try and maintain that and try and stay ahead of Murphy there and maintain that 5th spot. So that does leave Speedy Gonhog with a little bit of a lonely race, I feel now. Speedy coming into this 28 minutes now in 4th spot, and I think Speedy potentially, without any mistakes, might not see another car until the end of this race. So we'll keep you posted though. hopefully he can maintain composure, maintain concentration, I think, more than anything. Quite easy to switch off when you know the drivers around you and get complacent, so hopefully that won't be the case. We take on luck on board with Uniclight now, so these guys coming around Parabolica. Uniclight still managed to defend Bruce off. I wonder how long he can keep this up for. Bruce dropping off on that lap with a 142, but so is Uniclark as well. In fact, all the leaders dropping off there, so 142s for the leaders. So that's potentially tyre degradation. Earl will be affecting these guys. Certainly for Bruce, he'll be all sorts of shapes of getting squirrely into the entrance of corners, sat behind that Toyota. But there is a push the guys feel from the Euro as well, and that does make the car less balanced. As you can see, Uniclark really getting imbalanced there, so Uniclark using the runoff and getting that car her own ball. So hopefully that's not too much damage there from the sausage, but that's put Uniclark down into third spot. So eventually succumbing to the pressure from Bruce Law there, as Bruce Law picks off another victim in this race at Monza. And Bruce Law not done yet. He's trying to pick up his next victim as he tries to go side by side with Carl into Ascari. Will he make this stick? He's late on the brakes and he's managed to keep the back end in check just about. No, Bruce Law just getting a bit loose there, so Carl a little bit slower, but he's managed to make it stick into the corner, so I didn't see any contact there. It did look nice and clean. Just looked like the panels bit Bruce there on the exit, so that's unfortunate for Bruce, and potentially has affected his chances of an unblemished record here. So Carl maintaining first place here, and Uniclark in second. Bruce still in third at this stage. Speedy Gone Hog is still in fourth spot after climbing up past Old Smokey and Murphy from further down that grid earlier. Old Smokey in fifth. Murphy looks like he's come out of our pits and he's quite a way behind the leaders, but putting in similar lap times to Murphy, not a million miles away, in seventh place. So what will that do to our standings as we see them now? So Carl came into this with 25 points, so with a win here and a potential length of pit stop from Bruce, depending on how much damage is involved there, Carl could potentially clinch top spot this week. With Jack not appearing this week and Jack being in second spot with 30 points, then this could actually be a title clinching race for the moment for Carl, certainly for round two. It's going to make things interesting in going into round three. So Uniclark still stuck with him there, so after the events come into Ascari there and Bruce making his way through the pack, potentially getting a little bit of a gap pushed between Carl and Uniclark. It's still down to about a second now, so, and I think that is potentially a back marker that we're coming up to now. So yeah, that is CMC just coming out of the first chicane as our leaders come into the first chicane, I believe. Yeah, so CMC will be under blue flag conditions here. Hopefully he's still got mirrors left on that car. Hopefully they repair those when they come in the pit. So we potentially will close the gap up here between Carl and Uniclark as they come up to CMC. Potentially on the approach to, I think potentially CMC's already got it the way and it's past him. Indeed, my apologies. Looks like the blue flag conditions are already observed. So, not done too much flag gap, still a second between these two guys. So, take a little look on board with some more action there. It looks like potentially there's some action between Bruce Law and Murphy down for 5th spot. So Murphy looking like he's got that car a little bit more composed now. So did see a spin earlier and some contact with the arm core, so I think there is a bit of damage on the McLaren, but not enough to make him pit. And Bruce is potentially a little bit pulled tyres, a little bit of pulled brakes as he's come in. Got those bits repaired. Potentially had to change tyres at the time. So Murphy were looking to try and stick in the slipstream with Bruce here, try and make as much damage as possible if he has picked up some damage. So we'll keep you posted on that as we go back with our leaders now, and looks like Uniclark's closed that gap up. So 0.3 of a second as they're coming into the second chicane section now, and he's all over the back of the Cobb car, but it's notoriously difficult to try and get that Toyota to stop. Hard on the brakes, and through this section I think the Mercedes is likely to try and start making some minor gains on the Toyota. Yeah, to 0.3, 0.4 of a second, and as we come into Ascari, this is where Uniclark will be using all of that slipstream and all of the extra potential power that Toyota's got to try and it looks like Uniclark unfortunately has suffered the same fate there as Bruce Law, so trying to push there or potentially in that slipstream as he's trying to throw the weight round through Ascari. The guy's struggling on the first section of Ascari this time. So see what that does to our running order. So that's essentially put Uniclark in second spot. He's kept him in second spot. I don't think he's going to lose track position for that, but it depends what the damage is like on the car, on whether he's going to maintain that car out for another lap or whether he's going to pit. And it looks like he's coming in, so that's our second place position coming into the pits, and that is potentially going to let Speedy Gonhog, who was a little bit of an outsider coming into this race, struggling with his setups there, if I recall correctly, and he was in the last 2 grid positions when they lined up. But it looks like Speedy Gonhog, slow and steady, might be the key to this one. So a little bit of irony in the name there, maybe slow and steady wins the race, but you need Speedy in the name by the looks of it as he gets the panels around the first chicane. So uneventful here, but he's certainly seen some action. Speedy Gonhog from his fourth place, not 5 minutes ago in this race, where he was looking at potentially getting out in front of Murphy in 5th spot, and seeing no further cars. So really good to see Speedy doing well here. Speedy will be picking up decent points for this, 30 odd points I believe for second place, 32 points. If you add that to his 13 that he's currently got, that'll be putting Speedy potentially in the running for second overall in the championship. So it will be all change after this race by the looks of things in our championship run order. So, and what's that meant for Old Smokey? So taking a little long on board with Old Smokey now. Old Smokey up in 3rd spot. Those lap times coming down from Old Smokey now, so 1:45 at the start of this race, but managing to pull those down to a 1:43. So we'll be looking at 19-20 minutes left in this race. We'll still be looking to try and make gains there on Speedy and try and contest that second spot, but we'll be conscious that he's got Bruce Law behind him, and that is a big off there from Old Smokey. So maybe that's conscious that Bruce Law is behind him and Bruce is going to move back up into 3rd spot. As we look on with Bruce here now, coming over the start-finish straight. And Bruce now up into 2nd spot. So Speedy Gonhog in 1st, looks like Corv Carl has come into pit, and that's Speedy in 1st, Bruce in 2nd, and it will be Kovkar that I think comes out the pits in third. Just get a view, yeah, that's Kovkar in third coming to the first chicane. So again, all change here. It couldn't get more interesting at Monza this week. Monza really not showing any mercy to its victims here, and Ascari looking like it's been the con that's really affected our drivers this week. So the extended length of this race, and what that's meant to the tyres, it looks like it has affected other cars are more than anything shifting weight through Ascari. On the entrance they seem to be okay, but on the weight shift as they come through the second part of Ascari and onto the exit of it, seems to be getting the car sideways. So like I said, Kovkar still here in third place, so we'll be picking decent points for this. Little Dog Grid down now to 6, almost 6 cars in the running order, so after a few retirements, some initial absentees, and what looked like a disconnection, looks like all our guys will be in the running order for points here. It's just a question of how many, I think. So as we look on board with our leader, on board with Speedy Gonhog, he's got Bruce Law, he's 11 seconds behind him. So Bruce will be looking to close that gap all the while. And we'll take a lot of look on board here with Speedy Gonhog if we can. We can get our cameraman to do that. There we go. So coming into the first chicane section, let's take a little look what speed that he's doing. So coming into the second Lesmos is 130 miles an hour into that corner, 90 on the exit, and it looks like we've got a back marker in front of him, so that is potentially CMC that I think that Speedy Gonhog will be coming around to lap at this stage. So nobody being lapped so far, I think, in this race, this stage. With all the changes to the running order, so I think that seems to have sorted itself out. Got Speedy coming into Parabolica, managing to keep it tight there in that panels. Still clipping apexes, so potentially if he's on the hard tyres, maybe the hard tyres have paid dividends for Speedy Gonhog, and it's given that extra little bit of grip throughout the course of the race, albeit he's not quite getting the 141 lap times that the Bruce Laws and Kovkar, the qualifying leaders, were getting. But it's consistency that seems to be paying off here this week at Monza. Just taking a look forward into what we've got on next week. Next week for our GT1 races. Again, Thursday at 8 PM. But next week we will be at, if I can just get the standing information up, at Road America. So that is going to be a difficult track for these GT1 cars. Road America is notoriously bumpy, and these GT1 cars look like they're struggling with the bumps, particularly those with a more biased rear weight setup. Look like they seem to be struggling the most, and Speedy, they're really taking his time through Ascari, so potentially that is where he's really finding that he's making time by going slower through Ascari rather than quicker. And again, going slower through the tighter sections will be having a positive effect on his tyres. Maybe just allowing him to keep consistent here. So let's try and go trackside again. See if we can take a look on board with some more of our action. A little bit of space getting involved with our drivers now. So a 6-second gap. If we take a little look behind Speedy down to Bruce, closing that to 5 seconds now. So we'll keep an eye on that gap over the next 15 minutes or so. As we come into the last 15 minutes of this race. 6 seconds, but it looks like he's got a little bit of front end damage there. Potentially road damage, so not getting all those bits repaired in the pits by the looks of things when he came in. But we'll be looking to make gains on speed it as Bruce comes up to back marker, and looks like the back marker's either thought better of it and got well out of the way. I think that was CMC there, observing his blue flags. So yeah, Bruce still about a 5 second gap behind him, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. But Kovkal in third, about 15 seconds so behind that. So Kovkal again, a bit of a gap now between himself and Bruce, and then a way of a gap between himself and Uni Clark. So I think that is potentially going to be, minus any mistakes, the running order for the rest of this race. I think it's just a case of keeping consistent and seeing this race out. As we know, Ascari can start to bite you. Still 10 minutes or so, just over, left in this race, so tyres haven't finished wearing yet, and as the track continues to heat, the tyres will be getting worse. So we could potentially see more spins as Kovkal puts in a new best lap there, I think, with a 1:40.1. So looks like the guys are getting a little bit back onto the rhythm, into the zone with these cars. With 1:40.3 from Kovkal, 1:40.1 from Kovkal, or 1:40.3 from Bruce. So let's just take a little look at our timing board here. So yeah, 1:39's been our best laps all told. But 1:40s for 3 of our guys in the last lap, so second, third and fourth putting in 1:40s. Be interested to see whether Speedy can hold those off for the next 10 minutes. But looks like potentially this is where we're going to get the action now. So Bruce Law's closed that gap up to 2 seconds. Like I said, he's spotting a little bit of damage. And Speedy will be conscious of him closing in fast. Let's hope he can, like I said, maintain his composure and just race his own race. I think it's more important around here that he races his own race and doesn't focus too much on what stage the other car's at with its tyre degradation, with its fuel, etc. Better just focusing on the job that you've got in hand, doing what you've got to do, and hopefully picking up all the points you can. So coming into the first chicane again here, like I said, 10 minutes left in this session, about a 45-minute session. Currently with our leader, which is Speedy Gonhog. If you're looking to find out more about our championship racing, then do feel free to take a look at us online at FluxMotorsport.com. That is FluxMotorsport.com, and you'll find information about what we do, about all our championship races, our community prize events, and our live and broadcasted commentary, and all the other bits and bobs that we get up to over on our website. If you are looking to be a driver rather than just a community member or a YouTube subscriber, there is a driver sign up button on the website where you can hit that and look to come and get involved in all of our racing, all of our action. So you could potentially be here in one of our championship races before you know it. So, like I said, go over to FluxMotorsport.com. Following tonight's stream, our next stream will be our GT3 race, and that'll be round 2 of our GT3 championship. And our GT3 championship for round 3 is over at Catalonia in Spain. So the guys are looking to brave the Spanish sunshine. And it looks like Bruce has managed to catch up to speed as he tries to take a look round the outside of Parabolica. Doesn't get it done through Parabolica, but certainly got the run on the outside now along the pit straight into turn 1. Speedy sits behind him there. So heavy on the brakes, a little bit of a lock up there into turn 1 for Speedy. So hoping to not flat spot those tyres. We'll certainly be needing those with a slipstream. So let's see how Speedy gets on now with being sat in the slipstream. He's not had to deal with this for a while, and it does have a massive effect on these cars when you're sat in the dirty air. So he seems to get through chicane 2 okay. Has dropped a little bit of a way behind Bruce though. Maybe that's not a bad thing. That will get him out of that dirty air to a large degree and allow him to continue racing at his own pace as he comes on the exit of the Lesmore section. So Bruce, after that big spill, managing to get back up into first place. So take a look on board with Bruce now as we come into the last 7 minutes of this race now, and lap 22 around Monza here for our second round of our GT1 championship. Tidily done round Parabolica. Good exit there, just clipping the rubbers from Bruce Law. So a little run down our order as we come into the last few minutes here. So it's that Speedy Gonhog that's in second place. Speedy coming way back from down the grid, so done really well here to get up all the way from about 8th place, I think it was, in originally his starting order. So good going there from Speedy Gonhog. Cov Kyle in third, which is roughly where I think Cov Kyle qualified, just behind Uni Clark and Bruce Law. Cov Kyle got a blistering start at the beginning of this race, absolutely epic start, and stuck out in first place and led for most of this race, but unfortunately Ascari seemed to claim its next victim in Cov Kyle after it had already taken Bruce Law out. So Cov Kyle couldn't run in third place. Uni Clark in fourth place. Like I said, Uni Clark on the front row of the grid for this race. Didn't get the best start, must admit. He made it difficult for himself at the start, and swapped and changed position a couple of times with Bruce Law and Cov Kyle for first, second and third spot, so really get involved in the action. Not been out the war zone this race, Uni Clark, so which is pretty much been his story so far this season, not been out the war zone. 2 top 10 finishes so far for Uni Clark, so another top 10 finish here, so we'll be happy with that. In 5th place is Murphy, so Murphy picking up decent points here. Won't be happy he's fallen down the order a little bit here after getting a fairly decent start and putting in a fairly decent first few laps of this race. Was certainly lapping better than the 150s that he's able to get out of the McLaren at the moment, but still picking decent points here, 5th spot. And down to CMC in 6th place in the Mercedes. CMC's really struggled with this Mercedes in this race. Seemed to do better in qualifying, so has got a quick lap in that Mercedes, but potentially maybe set up just a little bit too highly sprung, or a little bit too tight, and that seems to really affect CMC early on from this race, as we see him go around again there. So still struggling, but I think that's more damage now at this stage. So CMC will be lucky to see this race out, and we'll be happy to do so as he lets Murphy through there. And that's Murphy on the exit of Ascari though, so we did see him getting a little bit squirrely there on the outside of Ascari, so which is where I thought people would have been struggling on this race, but Murphy making that stick and managed to get the power down well, and taking the outside line round there apparent Parabolica, which is probably advisable in that McLaren. Really, really nice handling car, but I think it is prone to over rotation, particularly in a bank corner. So just under 4 minutes left in session now, as we take a look on board with our leader. As we look trackside at our leader, coming down the back straight now into Parabolica for lap 24 of this race. Quite a distance between him and second place, Speedy Gonhog now. A good 6 to 7 second gap, and Bruce will be looking to see this race out now without further event. But it looks like Cov Kyle's managed to catch up to Speedy as well. So Kovkar putting in 1:40s in the previous lap, so is a little bit quicker than Speedy, as Speedy again lets him pass there. Looks like Speedy's struggling with the speed and the on the top end of that thing on the panel, so that's potentially something that could be done about that car. Does look okay in the corners, looks planted, and like I said, some of the upgrades that he's had to that car just before this race, which they are allowed to do in the GT1s as long as they don't change the actual car itself. But they can upgrade some of their customisable features there. Looks like it's paid dividends there for Speedy, so dropping down to third spot but picking up good points here. So might not clinch the top spot now, but could well see himself coming second or third spot in the championship, so interesting to see what that does to his particular standings. So still keeping it a second or so behind Kovkar now. Again, trying to use that slipstream and draft, I think. But Kovkar certainly putting in quick laps as we take a look trackside with him now. That's absolutely probably as quick as I've seen through that Scary section. That looked absolutely planted there. So that pit stop certainly making it work for him and getting all that damage repaired there. And sticking in 1:40, so it looks like the high 140s, low 141s was round about race pace here today, as we come into the last minute or so of the race. So this potentially could be the last lap of the race, and that's Bruce Law potentially coming up. So there's lap 26 now. He might get another lap in. We'll keep you posted. It's going to be close actually as Bruce Law comes over the line for lap 27, whether he'll actually get another lap in or whether he'll not be able to make that in time. He's coming up to a couple of back markers now, so as he enters Lesmos, they'll be exiting Lesmos. Yeah. So Kovkar in second. I think that's the way it's going to end up here. But is that CMC and Murphy? Yeah, CMC and Murphy, just to think, get involved in the action and trying to make the best of that situation. But no position changes there. And I think Bruce Law's potentially going to get another lap in here. As he comes around Parabolica. We've only got 10 seconds left in session, but I think he's going to get another lap in. So it'll be lap 27, so a lap for Bruce Law, but comfortably in the lead with 10 seconds between. And like I said, Kovkar coming going into this with a handful of points already, and you're looking to really capitalise on those for the second place. I think that'll potentially be his highest position of finish so far this season.